will be answered. We're trying to get everything tackled. So if you don't hear your exact words, just know it's probably part of another question as well. So we'll start back with Mayor Geierman. These are questions from the audience, and the first was, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself, and or what are your core values? And if you'll give me just a moment to pass this before we get started.
So, I guess I'd say I'm collaborative, I'm flexible, and I'm reasonable. I think that the reason I ran for office is because I felt like we needed someone who could really bring our council together and help us move together in a direction as a as a calming force who wants to listen to everybody. And I'm not there shaping all the policies of the city. It's really a collaborative effort with the council, and you really do need a collaborative leader who's going to listen to everybody. And I think that exemplifies a lot of my core values too. I'm somebody who you can talk to. I'm somebody who the council members can talk to, but hopefully no one feels like I'm bullying them. And even if we disagree on something, I think that we're able to continue to work together. So that's the answer to the question. Thanks.
This question comes up every time. As a scientist, whenever you start a project, you always have a stated purpose. And to bring everybody together in large groups, if they understand what the purpose is, they kind of all work in the same direction. And when I built the sidewalk project on Chestnut, there's a large group of people with 100 different ideas, and you had to coalesce those ideas and distill it down to getting the job done. So I'm used to working with large groups of people. My core values is volunteerism. Since I was a child, my family's always volunteered for a variety of things, medical facilities, etc. But when I started the Kiwanis Club here was to bring people together and volunteers together. And this is a part-time job for the mayor. It's a part-time mayor, but I consider it a full-time position, and I will volunteer my time full-time to open up City Hall and the office at City Hall. Thank you.
I would say that the number one would be inquisitive. I'm always one to ask questions, and I'm very inquisitive by nature in terms of, which goes into the second thing I would say is analytical. Almost to a fault. I annoy some of my council members sometimes because I'm very over-analytical, and I'm actually, a lot of times, I'm more concerned about the process than I am the outcome. Because I think that too many times we lose focus of how we reach outcomes, and sometimes we just make decisions without going through a process, and that just comes through my work experience and things that I've done in the past. And lastly, I'll admit that I'm a little bit hard-headed. And that's good and bad, because it means I'm passionate, and I'm very passionate about the things that I'm concerned about and the things that I care about, and I'm running for city council because I am passionate and I do care about this city, and if that comes across a little hard-headed sometimes, that is don't blame my heart for that.
So with me, I'd go with kind, logical, and then open/team player. I guess would be 3 for me on this. I'm very kind and open to listening to others. Everyone has a different view, and my take on it is you get the best outcome by hearing a whole lot of people's views and putting them all together, and you come up with the best plan from that. So you got to be able to listen to everyone, take what they say into consideration, and you can come up with the best plan from that. Logical, well, I'm a general contractor. I definitely find the most efficient, best way to get from point A to point B. So I think that's sort of self-explanatory there for me. And then open and team player goes back to being kind. Just listening to everyone on council. I like everyone's point of view, and it definitely resonates with me and helps dictate some of my thoughts and gives me different aspects and views of coming to a decision.
I've been asked this question before, and I was thinking about when I was designing my campaign signs using all those C's, Carrie, for council, that several of my core values start with C also, at the risk of sounding like Sesame Street, but I try to live my life with compassion and with curiosity, and I do value community and collaboration. And the one I could never quite make fit was also Warren's. I do believe in openness to new people, new experiences, and new ideas. I am a flexible thinker, which is not the same as being easily swayed. I do have a lot of strong beliefs, but I'm also open to new information and to changing my mind where that's appropriate. And I also have a very strong sense of justice and fairness, which is probably honed by working with lawyers all day. So I think that would serve me well in getting our citizens what they need. Thank you.
I start out to say that in the 27 years that I've spent working for the state, the thing that they say about me is they say, oh, you got Inspector Crawford today. Holy cow. But what that amounted to is at the end of that, all of that, they'd always look at it and they'd say, he's fair. That's the one thing they'd always say. I'd always try to look at things from the opposing point of view, from what the general contractor that wasn't getting the job done correctly, what the owner who was upset about how the job wasn't getting turned over quickly. I'd say that I have a perspective there. I also have deep respect for everybody that I've ever worked with. I spent first 20 years of my life working as a welder fitter, where I've learned teamwork, the value of teamwork. The time that I spent working at the state, that teamwork's been important because it matters. Lives matter on account of it. So I feel like I'm somebody that has a lot of integrity and am honest, and I will work hard for you for a while. Thank you.
Our next question is, do you think it's important, and again, these questions are questions coming from our audience, do you think it's important to keep our small town character as we grow? And if so, how do you plan to help us do that?
Okay. That's one of the reasons why I ran, is to keep the small town character of the city of Doraville. The city of Doraville originally laid out pretty much properly according to several planners from all over the world, basically. It has a civic block, it has a essential town center on top of the hill, it has this 8-acre park, like a central park in the city. Unfortunately, the environment in Doraville has been compromised in many locations of the city. It's not so much as doing something new to them, it is to uncovering what is already there. The small town, this is a urban center. Or that's what they want to make it. But to me, it's a suburban city. It's tree-lined neighborhoods, it's Central Park in the middle of town, it's civic block. It's not about spending money and tearing anything down and getting rid of the pool and getting rid of all the things that we have. It's just uncovering the gem that we already have, and keep the Atlanta Rhythm section, keep the country in the city. That's one of my mottos. Thank you.
So that's a difficult question to answer because it is important to, there's people obviously moved here recently or a long time ago because of the character of the city. But the character of this whole North DeKalb County and Fulton County as well has changed considerably since this town was built. In the 1960s, Buford Highway, Roswell Road, and Lenox were the commercial corridors that people came to Doraville to shop. That's where the service merchandise was here and the toy store was here. Perimeter Center was a cornfield. I mean, so the landscape in North Lake was a cornfield. The retail centers changed in the area, and so we have to continue to change as a city because those shopping centers probably aren't coming back to Buford Highway. They'll continue to go to Lenox, they'll continue to go to Perimeter Center, they'll continue to go to the more established retail centers. And we need to focus as a city on how to bring in more rooftops and more people into the community in the small amount of land that we have, so we can make it a better place for people that do continue to live here, and bring them more amenities and stuff that they're looking for.
So, I think I said it earlier, the smart growth, but a taste of country in the city would be a good way to say it, and we've done that through our zoning and our master comp plan. It's exactly what we've been doing, is trying to keep our neighborhoods separate and safe and quiet, and then keeping the businesses in different areas, and that's what we do through our master comp plan and zoning. So, I think that's what we have been doing, and that's what I'd like to proceed to keep doing. You know, we do have to grow with the times, but we can do it in a smart way where we do not hurt how Doraville feels, you know, the feel of Doraville. And I think that's what council's been doing, and that's what I'd like to proceed to keep doing. Keep bringing in businesses that help Doraville grow, but keep the safe neighborhoods separate, where you can have your quietness and family fun.
Well, we are part of a major metropolitan area, so I am excited about the opportunities that come with that, and I am excited to see Doraville kind of raised to the level of its neighbors with new businesses and new development. But if you define a small town feel as a place that feels like it gives you everything you need, or a place where you feel like you're a part of what's happening, or you understand your local government, you know your government's priorities, all the things that come with, I guess, small town living in that respect, I absolutely think we should hold on to in Doraville, and our small businesses, as I mentioned before, they're part of the fabric of this community, so we want to hold on to that as much as possible. I don't want us to be the next Chamblee or the next Brookhaven. I want us to be the next best version of Doraville, and that includes a lot of our small businesses and a lot of our existing established neighborhoods. We need to hold on to that feeling. Thank you.
I think keeping Doraville facade the way Doraville used to look, that changed a long time ago. I've been here since the late '80s, and Doraville doesn't look anything like it looked back in the '80s. The future of Doraville will be dictated by city council and how they approach the development of the downtown section, and also the business needs of the development over the GM property, and the people that move it, that we attract to the city, and the people that live in the city. By a collaborative effort, the city council working with the community, working with businesses you want to attract to the city, that's will be the future shape of Doraville. And that's, you know, if you want to call that country in the city, then it's country in the city, but it's actually what Doraville's known for, is an all-inclusive community that has room at the table for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know, Doraville is over 150 years old at this point, and we have a lot of history behind us, and the city has changed with every decade, and it's changed since I moved here in 2001. I think that what I want to see from us, and I think that the character is always going to change because we are part of a larger metro area. We need to be thoughtful about how do we approach those pressures that are going to come to us from Metro Atlanta, from Brookhaven, from Chamblee. How do we plan for them and make sure that we have the growth that we want to see? I think Councilmember Simmons laid it out the best when he was talking about we have a comprehensive plan, and we need to have a council that's actually working to implement that plan, because that plan is a document that says, here's what we want to see for our city. This is our vision. Let's take steps to make it happen. And so, you know, that's what I have been doing, and that's what I will continue to do.
Mr. Yeoman, I think we're starting with you. Are you in favor of open containers in parks?
It's kind of a, I'm sorry. guess it would depend on which park. So we've got pocket parks in our community. The answer would be no. We've got neighborhood parks. The answer would be no. But as we look to redevelop certainly the downtown and actually have a vibrant community space, it makes sense to have an open container district in the downtown area, and part of that will be a park. And we currently have an open container district already at Assembly. There's not that there'd be anything to go over there today to drink for, but there will be a park that we'll be doing a grand opening for here in the spring, and that will be an open container district as well. And so the answer to that question would be it would depend, but certainly not in our neighborhoods.
So my answer is very similar right there. In our community parks, no, like Honeysuckle, Halpern, English Oak, all those, no. But where we can agree on and have an open container district, like downtown redevelopment has a park there and it's an open container district, then yes, I'm fine with that. Same with Assembly. So if we all vote and agree on an open container district and there's a park in there, and that's within the district, then I'm fine with that. But the current community parks that we have, no, I'm not.
I certainly support special event permits in the parks where you can have alcohol for your parties or your neighborhood gatherings. Not just walking down the middle of the street, probably not. I definitely would support an open container district in our downtown or in Assembly, as it already is. I think it just kind of speaks to a larger culture of, I don't want to say celebration. I just think we need to be open, like we were open to changing our restrictions around public art. We need to be open to changing restrictions around alcohol just to make our downtown and our Assembly district a place that people want to come and enjoy. Thank you.
I'd be opposed to having open containers in neighborhood parks. Not a good idea. Those parks that are there in the neighborhoods for families, children, just for people to enjoy. I don't think that's the place for it. As far as certain segments of the downtown redevelopment, I have no issue with that. And also with the GM property redevelopment over there, having open containers is not a bad idea either. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, while I've been in elected office, we had almost no alcohol allowed anywhere, and I think that no, I don't want to see public drunkenness in our neighborhood parks, but I do think that there is a place for people to enjoy a drink with friends in a certain setting. So a special event is one thing. Open container districts in a place that's sort of geared towards young people and more entertainment, I think it makes sense in those types of places, but we've had a lot of successful events here that the city has put on where there has been some alcohol, and I think they've been very well attended, and those are some of the ones where we've seen more younger people come out. And so I do want to have events that appeal to everybody. I think that there's a place for it. Obviously, you've got to have some rules to make sure that that it doesn't get out of control. But I think that we've done a good job so far of sort of opening things up a little bit.
Does that open container mean a 40 in a brown paper bag, or we've had events like car shows and special events where you can have a keg, I guess. But I think the city of Doraville is at a crossroads where it can mature into that. But right now, I think we're in a situation where it's a kind of an iffy situation, and depends on the event, and if it's a controlled situation. But right now is we don't have a downtown area where you can walk around with a. It's not Bourbon Street, okay? So anyway, it's for special events. Thank you.
starting with Mr. Simmons. How many times have you run for office and did you win or lose?
So, previously I ran once and I won. I'm running a second time and I think the odds are good.
This is my first time running for office. Definitely not something I imagined I would do a few years ago, but here I am. I'm excited about it, and I look forward to winning your vote. Thank you.
Never run for office. I'm excited also to serve as your next council person. I think I bring a lot of experience on all kinds of tools to the table. Worked on many large projects throughout the state in my time, and I'd love to bring that experience to the citizens of Doraville. I look forward to your vote. Thank you.
I've had the pleasure of running once for city council and once for mayor. This is my second time running for mayor. We'll see what happens with this race, but I've won every other race I've been in. Thanks.
This question was directed at me. I run for office, this would be the 6th time. I won, I was on the city council before, and it's not quantity, it's quality. And during that 2 years I was on the city council, I would say, and I would bargain, that I did more in those 2 years than probably the whole city council put together. So give me 4 years and you'll find out what happens.
Not sure what happened while we didn't have a full term, but I run twice. Once officially. The first time I run is for the president of my HOA under the platform that I wanted a dog park, and I won, and we got a dog park. But I run when I moved to Doraville. I run for the city council seat 4 years ago, and I won with 60% of the vote in a 3-person race without a runoff, so that was good. And I'm decided to run again for re-election, and I appreciate your support.
What will you do to protect the value and desirability of R1 zone neighborhoods?
Let's see, so many things. I will definitely try to prioritize investments in infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, streetlights, all the things that our neighborhoods need to maintain. I'm very curious about code enforcement. I've heard untold questions and stories about code enforcement as I'm walking around meeting our residents, and I would love to learn more about what they do. I would love to see monthly reports on the kinds of things that they are writing tickets for, what they're not writing tickets for, what they feel empowered to do, what they don't, how our ordinances are helping them or hindering them, because I think they're an important arm of the city government that can help our neighborhoods thrive. And I would also, like I've said before, work to make our neighborhoods feel more connected and more aware of what's going on in each other's distinct 3 pockets of space in our city. Thank you.
Yes. What will you do to protect the value and desirability of R1 zoned neighborhoods?
So I guess I bank on my experiences being the top code enforcer in the state of Georgia for code enforcement. So I'd say I have a little bit of experience there and a very high success rate. So I would approach it from the approach we use on a state level. And I've worked with attorneys in our office on problems that have come up, code problems that have come up, big issues, small issues. So what I would do is I'd go through and find out where are the pockets of in each neighborhood. What pockets are the worst pockets that we're having issues with? Identify those, work with the code officials on finding some kind of resolution. because there has not been a resolution. As I go around also through the neighborhoods talking to residents, there has been no resolution to a lot of longstanding problems. And it's time that the council, and I'll work with the council, if elected, to solve these problems, because it's time to solve the problems for the people that live in the neighborhoods, and that will keep the values and property values in R1 in a good place. Thank you.
Thank you. So, you know, I guess we had a council meeting last night, and we were talking about permits, like open permits for people who have houses that need to be repaired or fixed. And the council has taken actions to try to speed that process along and not let people just leave permits open so that their houses can be, you know, junky, you know, shells for years and years, and they just keep like letting the permit continue on and on. And we have seen some success, like there are houses being demolished because they are no longer able to just sit there empty and you know, with the owner kind of trying to put together money to fix it, or I don't know why some of these houses stay abandoned for so long. So I think we have been trying to work to address this issue. I think the other thing is, you know, really by following our comprehensive plan, again, to sound like a broken record, that is a way that we enhance the value of everywhere in our city. And, you know, that is what I'm laser focused on. So I think we are working on continuing to maintain our R1 neighborhoods, and we will continue to do so.
The comprehensive plan does just the opposite. It does not protect the R1 neighborhoods. It encroaches on the R1 neighborhoods. Perfect example is in our neighborhood on Chestnut, as well as what used to be the Star Towers project. The entire neighborhood signed a petition to stop this kind of thing. The environment of Doraville is being compromised. Its tree canopy, GDOT is saying that Doraville is in trouble because of the transportation environment and its loading on the city. And first thing you need to do, you need to have a building official that enforces the codes, and the code enforcement needs to come under the office of the building official. You need to have a stormwater director that inspects all the storm and the runoff, okay? We don't have any of those things now. We have 4 planners, none of them are certified, and they're not looking after the R1 neighborhoods. That's the reason why all these complaints about 50 people living in a house, they've subdivided, they've closed in the carport, put 2 front doors on it. None of those things meet the building codes. The other thing is that the city council lowered the definition of R1, making the houses smaller and changing the setbacks. They don't meet the fire codes in the city. We need to restructure the city and the building department in the city and start building quality residential single-family homes. Thank you.
Sure. So the question that has come up a lot since I've been elected, I get emails and questions from the community about the value of the single-family neighborhood. And I guess that to answer that question, you'd have to ask a question back to the person that's asking that, is what is the value of a neighborhood? I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the value of my home because I happen to like my home and I don't want to move and I like my community. The things that I value in my community are things like recreation, the parks in my community, the businesses that I'm able to frequent and that are within close distance to my home. I value things like, I know particularly in the Northwoods neighborhood, they value their community. They've got a very strong community, the NANA community organization, and people move to those areas because of the community. Sometimes I think I'm lost when I get these questions about the value, protecting the value of single-family homes, because that depends on what they value, and it isn't always the value of your home.
So there's so many ways to answer this question, and a lot of answer to it is it takes time, of course. We've been working as a council on responsibility of stormwater. I know we've been jetting all the stormwater to keep the pipes clean, and it's deteriorated over time because nothing was done previously. So, we've been working on stormwater because we know that helps keep the value of the neighborhood there. We've also been working on codes and ordinances. When we're very open as a city council and listen to what the community says, look at what our codes say, and try to make it work. Of course, it takes time. When you write up someone, they have to go to court, municipal court, and different places to make sure you're innocent until proven guilty, in a sense. So we've been working with code and ordinances, and then also we've been working on short-term vacation rentals, which is also something in our community that we're starting to see. So we're working there, and it's going to take some time, but we're trying.
Our next question, what would you do to make our neighborhood streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists? And we will start with Mr. Crawford. What would you do to make our neighborhood streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists?
From what I see around the city's done an excellent job on addressing that issue by putting in, using the money that the mayor has gotten from Washington, I assume, to further enhance the safety for pedestrians in the city. I think that's important that it happen, and you have a city that you want people to be able to bike and walk in the downtown redevelopment. I think that perhaps looking at a way to connect the upper part of Doraville, downtown Doraville, to the assembly plant will be helpful. My ideas on that as possible. But yeah, I think that the city has made good headway, and I'd like to see the city continue to move in that direction, and I'd love to be part of the team that helps that.
Well, I'll say whatever happens with me, I think we've got a city council that really cares about pedestrian safety and pedestrian connectivity. Winters Chapel Hill, I mean, that was a massively dangerous place for pedestrians, for people who needed to get from one side of the street to the other to get to MARTA. Our city council had the vision and foresight to make sure that was one of our SPLOST projects. It, has a hot crossing, repaved it, made it much safer, built in a sidewalk, and that's one of the projects I hear the most about. We also put in a hot crossing on Chestnut Road. We've fixed Oak Cliff Road to make that an easier place so that drivers aren't veering off into the sidewalk. We've really been focused on this. It's not easy. We are in a very car-centric culture. You've got to, build the roads for people and cars. But we are working at it and trying to do what we can to make it safer. So I want to thank our city council for that, and I'm sure we will continue to work on that.
When I worked on the GDOT project with the governor's office in Georgia, was connect the city together with traffic lights and sidewalks. And I organized the first sidewalk that was built by the city of Doraville, which is on Chestnut. All the other previous sidewalks were built by DeKalb County. We talk about a crosswalk on Chestnut. The thing that we need to look at first, before we look at any for the adults, we need to look at the children. There is a crosswalk that has been in Pineland for the last 40 years that has always had a crossing guard and a policeman. That's the school zone. We put a crosswalk down to the park for a couple of people at the park, but we left out the 50 children standing in the dark when the cars flying through the intersection. The bus drivers are complaining about it. We need to put the traffic lights in the city, for instance, Central Avenue and Chestnut, so people could get downtown from our neighborhood. That was in the project that I worked on, but the city dropped it and didn't put the light in. We need a traffic light at English Oak that connects New Peachtree Road. That's also in the GDOT plan. We have taken these plans that are already existing and we have ignored all of them. We're not keeping the children safe, and we're putting in personal little crosswalks in for a small park, but we're not taking care of the people here. That's what I plan to do day one. Thank you.
Sure, so thank you for that question. First, just so everyone knows, the city cannot put stoplights on Beaufort Highway, it's a state highway. And I would agree, we need to make Beaufort Highway more safer, and we should be working with our partners like GDOT to make that happen. But I guess to answer that question specifically, this has been, in the last 4 years, we have built a sidewalk on Aztec, which was grant funded. The city paid very little money for that, actually. We finally finished the sidewalk on Winters Chapel Road in 2019, right before actually I was in office. They finally finished the sidewalk on Tilly Mill Road. So there's priorities in the city. They will continue to come up. And I will say this has been one of the most difficult things that I had to deal with since I've been on council is we've had 2 people killed on Winters Chapel Road in the last 12 months. And we had someone in a wheelchair that was run over by a dump truck and killed on the access road on Peachtree Industrial. You don't read about these stories in the newspaper. WSB doesn't cover them, but we get the emails. And sometimes we get very gruesome details, and it's been very, very hard. Particularly the one on the access road on Peachtree Industrial, and I'll be working very hard in the next 4 years to finish that sidewalk segment.
So, to carry on what Mr. Yeoman said, I'm there with you on that sidewalk on Peachtree Industrial, on that access road. But we did stop signs right there on Tilly Mill and Woodwind Road, right there in front of Hightower Elementary with speed bumps. We're working on the sidewalk over there on Flowers where they're redoing everything on the back end. We are working on connectivity and sidewalks and lighting, which is a big factor on Motors Industrial right underneath MARTA to take it down to Assembly. So we are doing this, and it just takes time and money. We're using our SPLOST money to help out. We're working with grants from Senator Ossoff's office. We're also working on an SSD, and if you watch the meeting Wednesday, you'll see more on that, at SSD back on the tank farms for all the roads that they're tearing up back there behind Winters Chapel, Flowers Road, all the roads back there, and help them, that will help us get those roads cleaner and safer. We're also working with our staff to help them go out for more grants to help with this, so
I agree with what's been said before. I'm really pleased with the prioritization of this by the city. I love seeing the new sidewalks. I love the new crosswalk on Chestnut Drive when I walk my dog. I'm pleased that the city's willing to consider all of these greenway trails and working on those. We're so lucky to have things like MARTA in our city, and we're going to be lucky to have this redeveloped downtown, but we need to think about how people are going to get to those places, and I think that that is top of mind for our current council, and I think that's great, is, you know, you not only build the thing, but you build the access to the thing. I've also heard from so many people knocking on doors about speeding traffic. I'm not sure what the solutions are to that problem, if it's more speed bumps, if it's more police patrols, traffic calming, which is always a hot button topic. But I've heard that in every neighborhood that I've been to, so if you think it's just your street, you're not alone, and I would try to find some solutions to that issue as well.
Speed bumps. It's important to get speed bumps. I also knock in on a lot of doors, and people are complaining about traffic speeding down taxi cabs, panel trucks with ladders and wheelbarrows on top of them that are above the height that's allowed within the city. A park that's over in our neighborhood where kids are walking to the park alone, and cars are speeding up and down that street all the time. If you put speed bumps over there, we need to identify those areas that need to have the speed bumps. People are gonna slow down. That's what's gonna happen when you have the speed bumps. Speed bumps can strategically be put in places that they do the best. And over in Northwoods, I've been knocking and campaigning over in Northwoods. There's areas over there where when I'm campaigning, there's, panel trucks that are going by, during an event, I see a panel truck that had 4 ladders on it and 2 wheelbarrows there on the street. So this needs to be built, and I'd be happy to help council do that. Thank you.
All right, this is going to be our final question. And that is, can you work with all levels of management, city workers, and neighbors with the same respect? And do you agree to have regular communication with Doraville residents?
Who's first? Tom, I think you went first last time, so we did here, so Tom.
Yes.
You're up. Yes, sir. Tom's up.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
If you haven't guessed, I'm Deb, so I can't. Okay. Okay, work with all levels of, when I was on the city council, I worked with every department in the city. I went in the morning, had coffee with City Hall at 7 o'clock in the morning, built the sidewalk, did the reader over at the library. I worked in every department there. I know how all of them function, or how they're supposed to function. Regular communication with the city is primary. That's the reason why I would reopen the mayor's office at City Hall. You have somebody answer the phone. You had a person, I always answer the telephone, so you would have some connection with the city. These are 2 primary things that put the city back in communication with its citizens and its businesses. You don't have that, all you do is you're just dialing and pushing the number, and they put you on, and they never call you back, okay? So that's primary for me, thank you.
So, being a council member is hard, because you're one of 7 people. You're one voice of 7 people. And it's not as simple as one person going to City Hall and having coffee with the staff and telling them what to do. I believe that I've worked well with the city staff and certainly the members on council. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, I think the council works well together. There's no more sideshows and arguing amongst the council members and stuff that has existed in the past. And I hope that continues in this election and future elections. And so in terms of the residents, I actually had an agenda item last night on the meeting, because no, I don't think the city has done a good job in engaging residents. And too many times I think we think that a newsletter or a Facebook post fixes those issues. And what we're finding, particularly in our community, is it's very hard to reach the 95% of the community that's out there, and we need to do a better job as a city of doing that.
What was the second part of the question?
Second part is, do you agree to have regular communication with Doraville residents?
Okay, thank you. So in regards to the first question, it was treating all levels the same.
Right, all levels of management, city workers, and neighbors with the same respect.
Yes, and if you know me, that's exactly what I do. We're all on the same level to me. No one's better than the other. We all have the same common goal and the same purpose. And ever since, I've worked since I was 13 at different levels, from down here to up there, and it doesn't change you as a person just because you have a different job. So I do respect everyone for the job they do, because without them, we couldn't function as a city. Everyone has a part in the city. And then staying engaged with the community. If you've met me, you know I'm very open. I've always listened. I'm always open, and my email address, of course, is on the website. If you need to get in contact with me, I'm always available. I work from my house, so I can be there within a few minutes. My email is always open, and the residents here in Doraville know that I will listen and respond. So.
first part of the question, yes, I already have good working relationships with a lot of the council members and city staff just from my involvement on committees and with the neighborhood association, and just being a generally involved citizen. So yes, I feel confident that I could work well with all of those different constituents. And inclusivity in neighborhoods is very important to me. The Northwoods Neighborhood Association has grown its membership hugely. In the past few years, we're really focusing on bringing in neighbors that have not been involved before. So yes, I believe that everybody's input is valuable. And in that regard, I'm absolutely committed to being open and accessible to residents. It's not easy. It's easy to say that, but I'm learning as I'm campaigning that it's really hard to get information out in multiple channels and multiple languages and multiple platforms. But I would keep that top of mind because it's so important. You can't just put up a Facebook post and expect that to do the job. Thank you.
I agree with Warren and everybody else up here. I think everybody sitting at this table up here is a group of respectful people. And I think it shows respect in your actions. I have, in the position I hold as a chief inspector with the state, it's a senior management position. I interact with senators, legislators, business leaders, the executive office down at my office down there by the Capitol. And interacting with them is one thing. Interacting with my inspectors is the same thing. It's respect. I have respect for everybody that I work with, business leaders, stakeholders, it's all the same. And I think that communicating with the residents, part of my campaign pledge to the community is that every other month I'll hold a neighborhood meeting to find out what their concerns are and how we can do things better and what things we are doing right. Thank you.
Right. Well, first off, I hope everybody in this room feels like, and watching, feels like they can connect with me. I know I've received phone calls, text messages, emails from many people. I always try to respond as quickly as possible. We did make a decision several years ago to go to a city manager form of government. I was a huge proponent of that because I think we do need professionals who are managing City Hall. That's why I gave up the mayor's office when I became mayor, because I think it's more important for us to have a professional conference room where city council, where our city staff can meet with people and have a more collaborative discussion than, you know, the mayor sitting at a table and everybody else kind of sitting around in sort of a, you know, formation in front of that person. You know, this is a tough job. This is a part-time job, but it's also a full-time job, and I don't think I fully grasped that when I first took it. I do have a full-time job as well, and you know, sometimes balancing everything is difficult, but I do my best to be accessible to our residents, to our business owners, to the people who want to open businesses in Doraville, and you know, it's tough to find balance, but I have put aside a lot of other personal things to be able to do this job, and I've decided to do it for another 4 years. So I hope you'll have me. Thank you.
Okay. Just very quickly before we close out, just information about elections. Advanced voting does start on October 16th and will go through November 3rd. And election day, of course, November 7th. And if you're here in Doraville, we're here in the polling location here at the Civic Center. We're going to give each of our candidates 1 minute again, just to close out, so you can use that time however you would like. And we will, why don't we start on this end and go that way? And so, Mr. Carver.
Well, tonight you got a chance to meet all of us and talk to us again and ask the questions you want to ask. And the first thing I'd like to do is thank everybody that put on this event and thank my fellow candidates for being here tonight. And I'd like to thank all of you for being here tonight. It shows that you're interested in civic duty, government, form of government. I chose to run because I feel like I can give something back to the community. I gave something back to the community for almost 6 years when I served on the planning commission that I helped set up. I've served the state faithfully for over 27 years. I've served as a senior manager, chief inspector of the safety program for the whole state of Georgia, investigated accidents up in Gainesville at the chicken plant. It's unfortunately killed a bunch of people. I have a lot of experience that I can offer this community. And vote for Ben Crawford. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I echo that. I'm so glad you all came tonight. Thank you for this opportunity. I hope that you don't stop asking questions. I am happy to give you my phone number, email, website, all of the things, because all input is good input. I'm so excited to put these ideas that we've talked about tonight in motion. I think this is a great time for Doraville. I am thrilled for this opportunity to be part of our city's growth. I really want each neighborhood in this city to feel represented, heard. I'm ready to do the hard work of listening and hearing the problems and figuring out solutions with all of you. I would be honored to have your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
First of all, I just want to thank the Chamber for putting this on. Thank you. I'd also like to thank everyone here and on Zoom for watching and participating. Appreciate all the questions. They were very good. I feel like the past year that we've made a lot of progress since I've been on council, and I'd like to continue with the progress in the future we're going with Doraville. So I would appreciate your vote, and I hope you think that I can keep doing what we're doing here on City Council and moving Doraville in the right direction. And on a playful note, let's go Braves.
Sure, thank you for all of you guys coming out tonight, and thank you for the Chamber for hosting this as well. For anyone that would like to visit City Hall, it's open every day until 4:30. My phone number is area code 678-702-2550. You can give me a call anytime. I'm happy to chat with anyone that ever has any questions or concerns with the city. It's been my pleasure to represent you as your District 1 council member for the last 4 years. And I look forward to what we can do in the next 4 years, very eagerly to see. Real briefly, I mean, we've got over $1 billion in redevelopment that's happening in our city. That includes reactivating the regional job center at the former GM site and long stalled projects. We did a groundbreaking 2 weeks ago for a residential community, and the former Kmart site started construction last week, finally. There's been discussion tonight about the core in the downtown, and I would say that the city already has a core, and the core is everybody that's in this room. It's all the people that live here and that make this community. And as the work that we have to do in the next 4 years isn't all about the $1 billion in redevelopment and all about the downtown, it's about what we can do to build and strengthen the core of the city, which is everyone in this room and everyone that lives here. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the staff for being so accommodating tonight and being so helpful. And thank everyone here for asking the questions that are so important for the future of the city. I would like to continue the work I did years ago when we were trying to build a town center. I stood in front of a bulldozer and saved the swimming pool for the city because they were going to build apartments on it at the time. It's time to put the city back together. It's trying to put the community back together and connect them back to the city. You had council meetings where you had 120 people there, and the audience was fully participating in those meetings. We need to open the city hall back up so they communicate with the citizens. So when they ask a question about taxes or building a building or having access to the building official, you have someone to talk to. That's not happening right now. We have a town center. We don't have to spend $10 billion to do it. We don't have to spend 10 cents. You can put the city back together, a quality city that works for all the citizens here that they can be proud of. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to echo everyone and thank the Doraville Chamber for doing this. It's important for us to have civic organizations that are supporting these types of candidate forums so that our residents can hear from all of us. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be your mayor for the last 4 years. I do hope that you'll, if you think that we've been moving the city in the right direction, that you'll support me for the next 4 years. You know, with that said, you definitely have a choice and 2 different visions to vote for next time. But I do think, really, as a 20+ year resident here, I do feel like our city is on a really good path right now. And the reason that I'm running is because I want that path to continue. And I think that stable leadership is important. And so that is why I'm asking you for your vote one more time. And again, feel free to reach out to me anytime. My personal cell phone number is 770-330-5345. You can call or text me, and you can email me at joseph@geierman, GEIERMAN.net. And that's my personal email, so don't write to me about city stuff on that, but campaign stuff is fun. Thanks.
On behalf of the Doraville Chamber of Commerce, again, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our candidates for coming out. We really appreciate it, and thank you for engaging and responding accordingly. To all of our residents who have come out personally, and for those who are watching us virtually, we'd like to say thank you. Also, on behalf of our co-moderator, for Danielle, who did a phenomenal job, as well as for our timekeeper, Maria Alvarez. We have the girls team in place here, as you can see. We also have Eva Salmon, who's in the back, who's been recording all of this for us. So we thank you, Eva, for coming out. While she's not a resident of Doraville, she is definitely a staunch supporter. So we thank you for your time. We also want to thank the dark community because they gave their space tonight for us, allowing us to be in this space, and so we're grateful for that. For all of you, again, we thank you. We thank you. We wish all of you much success as you continue to campaign, and we just ask for all of you to be safe, and thank you so much for this evening. We appreciate it.